So when you're rewriting your script, you've already got this existing story, and then you have changes that you need to make to that story. It might be an entirely new character arc or a new sequence of events within that character arc. How do you take those new choices and character moments and fit them into this existing script without having to rewrite it entirely? I've got a tip for you that might help you out with that. When I'm rewriting and I'm redoing, for example, a character arc, uh, some of you might be familiar with some of the things from like John Truby's book, Anatomy of a Story, where he talks about the moral need, psychological need, and that all, ladders up into the character's weaknesses and their flaws, and how that then in turn kind of informs the verb that they do, the change that they need to make in order to have that type of arc. So they have this problem, they take an action, and then they have this character change. Or some of you might also be familiar with like something from K.M. Weiland and her book, Crafting Character Arcs, where she talks about the lie and the wound and the ghost and all these things, and how that informs these other things that happen in the story. So no matter what paradigm that you're using in order to create your character arcs and have those character arcs inform the story, and by inform, I actually mean drive the story, right? We don't just want to have a beat sheet of things that arbitrarily happen. We want the characters to drive those beats, right? Regardless of which system you're using, how do you take this, which can feel very abstract and feel very kind of squishy, and how do you put that into either a new script or an existing script? I'm especially talking about existing scripts right now. So one of the things is, of course, you've got to take all of these thoughts and put them into an actual, character arc. Now, right here, I'm using this, 7-step process, which is inspired by Truby's process, but you can use, there's lots of different types of character arc, models out there that you can use. And so I basically boiled it down to, for these different arcs, there needs to be not just these different aspects of how the person changes, but then the verbs that they're doing to make that change happen. So it might be forgive, it might be listen, it might be torment, right? And then some of these are actually tied to existing scenes, like stabbing father, locked in the barn, admitting guilt, things like that. They're already existing scenes, which help take that character moment and actualize them, right? So again, this is a little more concrete because some of them are tied to actual scenes and actual acts that the characters perform. They do this thing or they do that thing or they say that thing. They realize this thing. But again, how do you take that and put that into a 100-page script? Well, one of the things that I like to do is have kind of the script laid out like this. Think of this as my digital version of index cards, right? Like some people like to, create their story with an actual board of index cards that they can move around and stuff. I'm just doing that digitally, right? And I've got this version, which is based on a previous draft. So I took the previous draft and then I go through and I take all of these events and I say, well, this was already in there. This is an existing scene that can say the same. This is an existing scene that needs to be changed, or this is a net new scene. So that's what I'm starting to do with some of the other ideas I had, which are not necessarily related to the specific character arc moments. So you can see I've got them laid out like this. So you can see Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. But then the way that this becomes almost like feasible to take these abstract events and arc moments and put them into the concrete scenes in your story, especially your existing story, is to take these arcs that have been made, and I'm going to break them down into their own little cards, right? So they've still got the color coordination, but even if I forget the color coordination, I've got them labeled based on what step they are and what character they are, right? And then I just take these and I drop them into the story, right? One character at a time. So, for example, I'm not going to do the whole thing here. You can kind of see we've got this beat. This needs to go somewhere around right here. Now, I might shrink it. I might move it down so that it'll fit in here. I might change its shape so that I know, oh, this is an important character moment. You can I can kind of do whatever I want with it here. But the point is, I can then take all of those things and say, this character arc moment goes here, right? Or this character arc moment goes here. And then, because all of these need to be connected, right? And by connected, I mean, not only does each character's arc need to lead to the next moment, but then the things that each character is doing within their arc is going to inform and affect the things that are happening with the other characters' arcs, right? You don't want to just have the characters, changing just by themselves. You want what each one is doing to change the other one, especially if both of those characters have a significant arc. Sometimes you'll have a character who does not have an arc and they simply are affecting one of the characters who does have the main arc. But in this case, right, for example, she needs to forgive herself. That's her need, right? But then because she doesn't do that, that goes here. We've got the other character, right, who's doing this. So then because this character tries to control this other character, that causes this moment to happen, right? So this is just a reminder that this character moment with this character, Phineas, also helps cause this other character moment from Charlotte, his daughter, right? So we have antagonist, we have protagonist. Because of his flaw, he then causes the next moment to happen. So his, right, first arc moment, right, his problem and the way he acts on that internal problem then causes his daughter to make a poor choice, right, which is like one of her inciting incidences. So you can see how I could take all of these and spread them out throughout the whole script, and the ones that I need to remind myself that are directly connected and not just indirectly connected, I can connect them like this if I need to. I want you to keep in mind and try this technique out to where you take these character arc moments, turn them into individual cards or beats, and then you can drop that into your outline wherever they need to go, so that it helps you figure out what to do with all of the other ideas that you have, right? Like I've got this scene and it's new, but I don't know where to fit it in. Like I've got these scenes up here where I'm like, I think these scenes go in act 2, but I don't know where. Well, the most important parts are going to be these character arc moments because these are going to be the engine of your story. So then put those in first and then figure out how to connect these pieces, to other character moments and to one another, right? And that'll help you fill in the gaps with the other ideas that you have and to figure out what needs to happen in order to make these arcs actualized, so to speak, to make them real. Okay. And that's how you can kind of take this very abstract set of ideas about, well, this person has this feeling and they have this flaw and this weakness and this archetype, and actually turn it into choices, uh, actions, and lines of dialogue, for them to actually do on the page. This is how you get from that abstract, you know, conceptual world into what I'm actually typing in my script. I can help you fill in the gaps. And if this was helpful, then you can check out another video right up here that YouTube is recommending for you. And I'll see you over there.